Good afternoon, boaters. Keith McGowan here. I am the Outboard Dad, here to help you have a better boating experience. Today we got a little 70s soft rock playing while I'm working on the outboards. I love to have music on when I'm working. I haven't had it on while I'm doing videos and figured let's give it a shot. You guys, people, let me know what you think. Remember, we have our lower unit we're working on. Don't forget my used outboard motor buying guides for sale on Amazon. If you send me an email with proof of purchase at keith@outboarddad.com, I'm still offering a free half-hour session over the phone to help you with a motor you're looking to buy or a boat you're looking to buy. Any advice I can give you, this guide can save you thousands. Keep in mind, it is not an in-depth guide for every motor that's out there. These are the basics you need to know. Simple grab and go with not a lot of detail, so you can hit the high points and can save you thousands over buying the motor that could cost you more to do repair or end up replacing. Happens a lot of times. I see it. You know how many people, and if you look at the reviews on here, there's several people that said, I wish I had this before I bought my outboard. Today, what we're gonna do is do some cleaning, right? It's the part that a lot of people don't like to do because it's the most tedious. So I wanna make sure all my surfaces are clean. I'm gonna get all these gaskets off of here, right? And make sure I just have a nice sharp chisel here. I'm not digging into the metal, and I'm just making sure all my surfaces are clean. And what I like to do is I like to take a emery cloth and put it on my file. And if this music is actually commercials right now because I'm too cheap to pay for Spotify, if that's too much annoying, you guys let me know and I'll stop doing it. So I like to take my flat file and sand cloth and go across the surface. Make sure I have a nice clean surface before I go ahead and clean the whole lower unit. So now I'm hitting the surface of the water pump. Let me show you this a little closer. As well as the surface where the shift shaft goes in, so that I can keep everything nice and clean. Now my sand cloth will get dirty really quick. And then what I can do is, you see it gets pretty dirty, I can go ahead and flip it over. And I've already used this on the heads for the Yamaha, so it already is a little bit dirty. Then I can use the edges here to clean up where my water pump goes a little cleaner. And it is nice flat surface, there's not a lot of corrosion. The other thing I want to look at is down in here, which is where that rubber O-ring goes down. So when my shaft goes in here, there's a rubber O-ring down here. And I want to make sure, because this is definitely going to be pitted, right? It's going to have some pitting because all the moisture's here, water pump. So I want to make sure I clean this out really good. And then what I'm going to do when I put this together, if you've seen any of my videos, I'm a big fan of this Motorcraft silicone. It is made for diesel engine reassembly. Actually, a lot of the diesel engine guys don't use gaskets, they just use this. It's a thicker silicone, so I use a very, very thin amount, but that can help to fill any little pits that may be left over. But of course, those pits have to be clean in order for it to stick, and then we have more longevity. Remember, we're working on 30-year-old stuff here. We're not going to have perfection on everything that we want to do, but we want to make the best of it as we can. So I'm going to continue cleaning this. It actually looks pretty good, don't see a lot of pitting. And I'm also going to clean down inside the cone here. So inside here we have an O-ring. Remember, we took the one broken clip out, and then there's an O-ring in there that goes around our bearing carrier that has to seal off. So I want to make sure I get all this really clean now with sand cloth before I flush this lower unit out and get ready for reassembly. Okay, we're going to continue on cleaning out this lower unit. I got my parts washer all set up. Now I did blast this out with the hose first. I hit with a wire brush to get some of the flake paint off and stuff like that. So I have Aussie juice in my parts washer now. I used to use Safety Clean, but I was told by a very good close personal friend of mine, Sean, who's an auto mechanic his whole life. I haven't really used parts washer that much, but kind of told me how dangerous that stuff is and that the Aussie juice is better. And I've had good success cleaning, but I like to flush it out first outside. This way I don't get as much crap in my parts washer. I added a filter to my parts washer because I'm also a heating and air conditioning guy, and water flow and hydronics and everything, and filters are a wonderful thing. Makes it last longer. So we're just going to keep cleaning this up really good. There are some passageways like in here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a hole there, right? And that hole helps oil go run back. It brings oil up, and it helps oil run back into the lower unit. So we want to make sure all these passageways are clear. And yeah, do I really need to clean the outside of it? Not too much, but I do want to clean all the other parts because I don't want any debris that's loose falling into it while I'm taking it apart. So I'm just going to continue to brush this up. We did a pretty good job with the, with the hose. So it's just making sure there's no heavy things in here, making sure everything is nice and clean. Give it a good rinse. Now we'll tip this over and let's see if I can clean out where the cone is as well. Right, and we'll let that flush down and out. I can get in here really deep. Slosh it around really good. Give it a good brush. Get my flashlight so I can make sure I'm getting it all. Make sure there's no crap left in there. Same thing with the vent hole. Vent hole here as well. And make sure it's nice and clean. All right, so now we'll give it a good cleaning. I'm going to change my gloves because my gloves got oily and then they got cleaner on them, and they're just going to be a little dirty. So we want to clean out the inside really good. I'm probably going to even spray some brake cleaner through this again, just to be safe. I want it as clean as I can. I don't want any debris falling in while we're working on it. I want to make sure all this is nice and clean. We'll double check. Yeah, still going to spray some brake cleaner through there because it'll help get some of the Aussie juice out of it as well, because there's still a little, fine Aussie juice left in there. And then this will take any other stuff that might be stuck. I can blast in those holes I was telling you about. Just gives it kind of one last good flush. So now we can get the gears together that we took out of the other lower unit, bring it over here and get prepared to start installing them. We'll get most of it set up except the bearing carriers because that's where the seals go in. So we can pull the seals, the shaft seals out, and then the O-rings off and clean those up and get those ready too. We're going to do that next. So the other thing I'm doing now, after I get my cleaning and I flush it with that brake cleaner, there's no oil on anything. Remember, there's a bearing in here, so we want to make sure we don't get flash rust or anything like that on it. So I sprayed some of my famous Jack of all sprays on the shaft and on the bearing, and then slipped it down there, spun it around a couple times, and that'll keep it from getting any flash rust on it. So the next thing we have to do is clean up these bearing carriers. Now I'm going to give them just a quick cleaning first, because we do need to get the seals out. I may get my seal puller over here and do that too, and then finish cleaning it, because then we're going to really clean out the inside where the seal meets. We'll see how corroded that is. Again, my silicone trick is key. Going to get this out. We're going to clean inside of here, but again, we want to make sure our bearings in here stay lubricated. Looks like my pump's not working, so we're going to have to manually clean this. I mean, it's only a 20-year-old Harbor Freight pump, so I guess I can't expect too much. from it. Again, we're just cleaning all of it all the way around. The O-ring will come out of here. Get my screwdriver. Yeah, it doesn't want to pump. Gonna have to fix that now next. So I want to make sure all these surfaces are nice and clean. I'll even take a little sand cloth because I want to make sure there's no debris on this because I want this to slide in really nicely. So not too crazy. Just gonna, again, make sure that this is nice and clean. See, piece of cake. Same thing here. There's a zinc on here. I'm not going to mess with that. That'll be something that, you know, it's still there. It's not falling apart completely. I just don't usually mess with those things. They put zincs on the motor and other places that work as well. So guess I could let Rick know if he wants me to get a new one, but I don't see the value in it. It's good enough. Never seen this really help that much, and he's trailering anyway, so he really just wants to get this out on the water. When I spoke with him, he said, Keith, whatever you got to do to make it work, man. He just wants to get out on the water. So no mystery here, just cleaning. We're going to clean our bearing carrier too for the drive shaft. Again, when I start messing with this, I don't want any little bits and pieces or stuff getting into things when I do finally start to put it back together. Let's get this O-ring off of here. See how this has a weep hole here? That's that hole that we cleaned out on the other side to be sure that the oil flows properly. I don't think Rick would be very happy if we didn't have good oil flow and he burnt up another lower unit. So now we'll pop these seals out of here. Let's see, we might need to put it in the vise, but let's see. So I'm not going to bite it too hard, just enough to hold it so I can get the seal puller in there. There's your two seals. Now we can continue to clean that up even more. Let's get these seals out. This is again where I like to get some sand cloth in here because this is where we need the seals to seal, not only on the prop shaft, but also on the outside of this bearing carrier. Now this looks pretty clean, I'm happy to say. Not too much corrosion on here. But we're still gonna, make sure there's no extra sealer left over from the last install. And then if there is a pit, which a lot of times there is on these older lower units, that silicone will seal it up. Now it's not your average automotive silicone that I use, but it's no secret either. It's good stuff. This one, yeah, this one looks really clean too. Now there is a little bit of sealer. There's like a line of sealer inside there where the two seals go together. So we want to make sure we get that out of there for two reasons. Number one, we want to make sure it seals well. Number two, when we shove the new ones in, we don't want them to get bound up. Yeah, that's pretty clean in there. I'm happy. Yeah, that will seal nicely. Now there's a hole inside here where the oil has to go through, so we make sure we don't seal that. There's a little piece of sealer kind of stuck on here. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to fold this way. This way I can get it in here and it gets in that groove a little better. All right. So now we're just gonna clean everything, spray it off with some brake cleaner, put some lube on those bearings, on the bearing carriers, because I don't want them to flash rust when they dry out. And we'll get a nice clean rag on the table here, and that way we'll be able to keep everything clean for the reassembly. So please like, subscribe, send any comments that you have, and we'll continue on in the next episode. Have a great day.